The story begins in the city of Los Angeles. We see an armored truck belonging to a cash transportation company parked outside a restaurant. The guards get out of the truck to buy some food, and at that moment, an armed gang attacks it. They threaten the guard inside the truck and order him to get out quickly, but he refuses and alerts the police. The gang then manages to break the truck's windows using their special weapons. Meanwhile, one of the guards who had gone into the restaurant sees what is happening, but before he can pull out his gun, one of the gang members shoots and kills him. The guard inside the truck is also killed. After that, we are introduced to the hacker, Hathorn, who has been monitoring both the police and the gang's movements. He informs the gang that the police are only 30 seconds away from reaching them. The gang leaves a bomb in one of the cars they arrived in to destroy any fingerprints. However, before they can escape, the police arrive. The gang is forced to kill some of the officers, while the others shoot Marcus, one of the gang members. Marcus is badly wounded and dies. The remaining gang members get into the armored truck, take another car as well, and escape. At the same time, Hathorn blocks the roads to keep them away from the police, and they eventually reach their hideout. We are then introduced to the gang leader, Ray. He is upset because they killed police officers and lost their friend. Ray asks B to find out which detective will be handling the case. Then Ray checks the armored truck and discovers that it is completely empty and contains no money. Next, we learn that Detective Nick is assigned to the case. Nick goes to the crime scene and speaks with the officers there, who tell him that the gang stole the truck even though it had no money inside. Meanwhile, B has been watching them and secretly takes pictures for the FBI. As the federal agents arrive at the crime scene, Nick refuses their assistance and insists that the case belongs to him. B quickly returns to Ray and shows him the pictures. Nick then holds a meeting with the other officers and tells them that the gang must have a much bigger objective because they stole an empty armored truck. Through surveillance footage, they identify the thief as a man named Ray. Nick then asks about Donnie, Ray's friend who works at a nightclub. Nick eventually goes to the nightclub and talks to Donnie without revealing his identity. However, Donnie immediately realizes that Nick is a cop. Nick suddenly shocks him with a taser and beats him up. Later, Donnie wakes up and finds himself in a room with Nick. Nick shows him a picture of Ray and asks about his relationship with him, but Donnie denies knowing Ray. Nick knows that Donnie had previously been in prison for robbery, and when he sees that Donnie refuses to admit anything, he grabs him by the throat and starts choking him. Finally, Donnie confesses and says, "I only drive cars for their operations. I'm just the getaway driver." When Nick asks why they stole the armored truck even though it was empty, Donnie replies, "I don't know because the gang leaders never tell anyone about their plans. At the time, I needed money, so I met B and Marcus at the nightclub. They offered me a job driving for them. Back then, Ray was in federal prison. When he got out, I met him, and he gave me a car and asked me to drive it to see whether I could escape from the police. Ray liked my driving skill, and a week later, I participated in my first robbery with them, which was robbing a nightclub." Nick then asks Donnie to stay with the gang until they are all arrested, and that becomes their agreement. Meanwhile, Ray gathers the rest of the gang and tells them that their next operation will be the hardest one they have ever attempted. They are going to rob the Federal Reserve Bank. He explains that it is one of the most heavily guarded banks in the country, filled with security systems and cameras, and nobody has ever managed to rob it before. Ray says there is one problem. All the money has serial numbers. If anyone tries to spend that money, they can be tracked anywhere in the world at any time. He explains that whenever the bank receives cash, it separates the old bills from the new ones. The serial numbers are removed from the old bills before they are shredded and destroyed by a machine. Their mission is to steal the money that no longer has serial numbers before it is fed into the shredding machine. There is only one way to get inside, through the entrance used by the armored trucks. On the day of the robbery, they will shut down the bank's entire system. However, the money vault has its own independent power source, so they will jam the cameras inside the cash room, giving them only 2 minutes to take the money. At the same time, Nick is holding a meeting with the officers, introducing them to the gang members and warning them to be extremely careful because they are among the most dangerous criminals around. Later, Donnie goes to the bank pretending to be a food delivery driver. He delivers food to the employees, goes to the restroom, hides another bag above the restroom ceiling, and then leaves. That night, Ray and the gang are eating at a restaurant. Nick and his officers also go to the same restaurant. Nick deliberately tries to provoke them and lets them know that he knows Donnie. Ray immediately becomes suspicious and thinks Donnie might be an informant. He threatens to kill him and asks, "Are you spying on us?" But Donnie admits that the police interrogated him and that they already know all the members of the gang. Donnie says, "I didn't give them any information." Ray then tells him, "Go tell Nick that the operation will happen on Friday and that you don't know anything more than that." Donnie meets Nick, tells him the information, and then leaves. Nick then discovers that the bank they're planning to rob is called Pico Bank through a woman who works at the nightclub, and we learn that Ray was the one who sent her. Later, Nick goes to his children's school to see them because his ex-wife has been preventing him from seeing them. Meanwhile, both the gang and the police begin preparing and arming themselves. A short time later, the gang arrives at the bank and storms inside. Nick is watching them, waiting for the right moment to move in. Ray tells the bank manager to call the police and say that the gang wants a plane and $10 million without serial numbers. He also says that for every delay, they will kill a hostage. Nick is surprised by their demands because this method of robbery seems amateurish, while the gang is actually highly professional. Soon, the police arrive, but Nick prevents them from taking action. However, a federal agent ignores Nick and assigns someone to negotiate with the robbers. Nick becomes furious because the negotiators' actions lead to the death of a hostage. Suddenly, the police hear an explosion inside the bank, but they do not understand what happened. At the same time, the hacker calls the Federal Reserve Bank, pretending to be the manager of Pico Bank, and tells them that the armored truck will arrive in 5 minutes. Nick immediately suspects that the gang has escaped, and we soon learn that they actually have. Nick enters the bank and discovers a tunnel that the gang used to escape. He then understands their plan. They stage the entire bank robbery as a diversion in order to rob the Federal Reserve Bank. Meanwhile, Ray and the gang arrive at the Federal Reserve Bank in the armored truck. The employees there begin removing the serial numbers from the old bills. At this moment, Donnie is hiding inside a money container. The gang cuts the power, and Donnie comes out of the container and jams the cameras inside the cash room. He starts collecting the money that no longer has serial numbers and hides it inside trash bags. When he finishes, Donnie crawls through an air vent, reaches the restroom, and retrieves the second bag that he had hidden earlier. He then slips away among the bank employees. Meanwhile, Ray and the gang leave in the armored truck. At the same time, Chander is monitoring the garbage truck carrying the money. He threatens the driver and takes control of the truck. Ray and his friend arrive at the same location, collect the money, and change their clothes before getting into another car to escape. Nick then sees that Donnie has been taken into police custody and beats him until he reveals the gang's location. The hacker informs Ray that the police have arrested Donnie, but Nick manages to track them down. Fortunately for Nick, the road is heavily congested, so he and his officers get out of their vehicles to arrest the gang. However, the gang notices them, and a fierce gunfight breaks out. During the shootout, the gang kills one of the officers, but the police eventually kill all of the gang members except Ray. Nick chases Ray on foot and shoots him once, but Ray keeps fighting and tries to kill Nick. Nick then shoots him several more times, and Ray finally dies from his injuries. When Nick returns to the vehicles, he discovers that Donnie has escaped from the police car. He also finds that the gang's vehicle contains only bags of trash instead of money. At that moment, Nick realizes that Donnie was the mastermind behind the entire plan from the beginning. He had deceived both the gang and the police in order to steal the money for himself.